All right, good morning. Welcome back, everyone. It is Friday. I got two rock star agents, investors in the Pittsburgh market. So I got Jeremy Taggart on, and first time kind of group live streaming is Ian Hoover. So morning, fellas.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Yeah, so let's dig right into it. So I think both of you know we have a great community in the one rental at a time community, and a lot of people are investing out of state remotely, and a lot of people are looking at the Pittsburgh market. I'm kind of maybe the one of the first in our group to be investing there. Made a lot of mistakes, and so I think people are willing to kind of jump on now because they've seen the mistakes I've done and the relationships I've built. So maybe we'll dig into Jeremy a little bit first because we kind of worked a little more directly with him. But how's all of that relationship going, and how's the Pittsburgh market looking for these people now wanting to look over there?
It's good. I think that the market in general, it's getting a little easier for buyers right now compared to what it was when rates were super low. So it's easier to get deals, especially on the cash flow side of things as of late. Granted, the good properties are still getting a lot of interest, but it's definitely eased up a bit. Plus, as we get into like the fall and the winter, generally, that's a good time for buyers as well. So I think the market's starting to kind of get a little more favorable, plus interest rates going down a little bit as well helps with cash flow also. So it's a good time, and I think it's going to keep trending that way as well.
I think we lost you, Marc.
No, yeah, sorry. I'm putting the links for both of their channels in the chat. So there's Ian's YouTube channel, Ian's the Deacon Hoover for both of them actually, and then Ian's X page. So go check him out over there. And also Ian does have a book. He can talk about that later, but we'll put the link for that in the chat also. But so Ian, what is your thoughts, and maybe quickly for those that may not know who you are because you're a little bit newer on the channel, little backstory on you and what's your thoughts on the Pittsburgh market?
Yes, a little bit about me. I'm broker of Deacon Hoover Real Estate Advisors. We're one of the largest local independents here in the Pittsburgh market, and obviously Jeremy is pretty much our top guy. I mean, he's built the top performing team, at least for probably the last 2 years at Deacon Hoover. So I would say he's more the superstar. I'm just giving him the platform to kind of do his thing. But what we're seeing here in the Pittsburgh market is exactly what Jeremy said. Like, you're seeing a big cool off right now. And I think it's a mixture of a lot of things. I think that obviously the government shutdown is impacting it a little bit. Like, a lot of people don't know, it's like 19% of all employment in the city of Pittsburgh is government. So when there's a government shutdown, it's going to impact and it's going to make people kind of get concerned. So 19% of the buyers in Pittsburgh are not buying right now. And I actually just got my first, what I would consider a decent deal for a rental property. I just got my first one in probably over a year. I bought a 2-bedroom condo that's probably worth 130. I bought it for 87.5 because it was just sitting on the market and they were kind of desperate to sell. So I kind of lucked out in that, and it already has a tenant in place and should cash flow, I don't know, maybe about $150 a month, which is almost unheard of anymore to just buy a place with a tenant already in there. It's going to cash flow without doing anything. So I'm pretty excited about that. But, moving forward, I don't think this current downturn is going to last very long. I think that probably mid to late January, you're going to see an uptick and things are going to, start exploding again in Pittsburgh and probably become more of a seller's market again. But that's just my personal outlook on things.
I also just want to say we all have our teams, NFL teams hats on today. Oh no, yours is
That's not true.
yeah, well,
You got Pirates hat on
yeah,
the
we got the
bottom.
Pirate, but in Pittsburgh too. So
It's because I wanted to fit in with the Bears and the Cowboys. The
well,
Steelers don't do that.
somebody's team won on Sunday and somebody did it. So, but we'll leave it at
Well, barely.
that. But I do see Omar tuning in from Instagram. So what's up, man? You're always welcome on when you can fit me into your schedule. But Omar has been on before. He's a contractor out in Pittsburgh, so he's another one we like to connect people with. But yeah, definitely. Ian was on recently. He's kind of talking about some of the recent deals he's done, maybe some mistakes he's gone through. But like you said, you just found something that worked for you. And what are you seeing too, Jeremy? I know Liam, who's also part of your team, recently has done a flip. I'm not sure. I know it was under contract, right? Do you know if it closed? And How's all of that
I
going?
think it's about to close. Yeah, but like Ian said, like Liam's Flippy did, that was on the market. We're seeing good deals on the market again. So not that there haven't been, but like really good deals type of thing. So it's a nice kind of period, I would say, to take advantage of that. I don't know how many markets in the country you can still say that in general.
I do see Elena here, and I know she has a busy schedule, so I do want to maybe quickly give a little insight. I did send you folks the property that she was kind of looking into, and maybe we can briefly touch on that since I know she's in the chat right now. So, Ian, I sent you this listing. Elena was kind of looking into, had interest in. Do you have any maybe feedback, any thoughts on that she was looking at?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a $50,000 multi-unit property in Mount Oliver. Mount Oliver is a little bit of a we'll just call it a lower income community. But I have seen some good things out of Mount Oliver. I've heard a lot about their code enforcement's really starting to work with investors and trying to make things easier over there. But with the cost of renovation now, because since COVID, it's probably almost 10x. I mean, what it costs to do things now. I mean, that's a really massive renovation project to take on. And me personally, I don't know if I would have the appetite to do that kind of a renovation in a lower income community like that unless I really felt like it was going to pop soon, like do a not quite a Lawrenceville transformation, but definitely a transformation to where it's going to become a much more profitable market. Because I think you're going to, even though it's on for 50 grand, I think you're probably going to be into that for 225 after renovation, and it probably won't cash flow with the rates where they're at. And I don't think you'll be able to turn around and really sell it for much of a profit at that price either. So unless you're getting in and doing a lot of the work yourself, doing a lot of sweat equity, I personally wouldn't be too interested in digging further into that deal. But I don't know if Jeremy has any other opinions on that, but it's a lot of work to take on, and it's a market that I probably wouldn't want to be in the high ones and low twos in for a small multi-unit property.
Before Jeremy kind of gives his touch on it too, I'm not sure if I mentioned to you, Ian, but I don't know if it was her thoughts or the numbers that were kind of given to her, but maybe she was looking at an ARV of 250K. So I'm not sure if that's something you had a chance to dig into. I know Jeremy has some thoughts on that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to be into it for like 225, maybe 225. So even if it is a 250K ARV, there's not a lot of spread there when you look at trying to do a refinance or a sale on the back end. Now, if you're going to have a lot of sweat equity into it, and you're going to be into it for 175, then maybe the numbers might start to make more sense. But really the big thing is just make sure you break it down and have your quotes, and then you can actually, I use a software called Deal Check. It's dealcheck.io is the website where you can break down a property and see if it cash flows after maintenance and repairs and capex and property management and all that stuff. Or if you're planning on selling it, then you have your ARV already. You just gotta, how much money do I really want to make to do such a massive rehab project?
All right, great insight. Jeremy, you also had a chance to kind of take a peek at what Elena was looking at, and did you have any thoughts on it also?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the things that Ian said. And something I've noticed too, since the rates went up, and we work with a lot of buyers, specifically for multifamily, the appetite for the cheaper, lower income C class areas has decreased as rates went up. So it seems like people are more interested now on the buy side and more B class areas. I think just because the gap in cash flow has shrunk between the B and C areas compared to what it used to be, that people are more focused on quality at this point. So that I would take that into account as well. It's one of those things is like you're probably not going to see as much appreciation or rent growth long term on a C class area that, like Ian said, isn't about to pop. Mount Oliver, I think at some point maybe just because it's well located and some of the areas around it are starting to gentrify and whatnot, but it's definitely not on the cusp. I think it's got a while, at least a decade or two, before I would think it would actually fully gentrify to the point where you're seeing above average appreciation and rent growth. So just all of those factors I would if I was going to take on a massive $150,000 plus rehab on something like a duplex in an area like Mount Oliver, I would want to get more out of it, because I could go do that same thing in an A or B class area and get $100,000 in equity for taking on that big of a rehab and risk. And especially being like in Mount Oliver, where they have code enforcement officers and inspectors on stuff, they're going to be pretty on top of you when you're trying to do the rehab, especially from out of state. It seems like they're a little more strict on out of state investors compared to local investors from what we've seen with some of our clients. So just all of those factors, like I was saying, you would almost have to want to get it for free for it to make sense. Plus the ARVs have, I think, even started to go down a little bit in areas like Mount Oliver, like just running quick comps on something like that. Like I think the most a duplex is sold for in Mount Oliver over the past year has been like 170,000. So you very well could end up underwater on it, which at that rate, then it just wouldn't be worth it. You're better off just buying something turnkey, which is kind of the case in a lot of these cheaper areas. Is turnkey makes more sense than gut rehabs. To do a gut rehab, it almost has to be in an A or B area for
Jeremy,
the most part.
Do you think that's a C class area, Mount Oliver?
It's subjective. I don't call too many areas D areas, just because I don't think Pittsburgh has too many D areas compared to other bigger metro cities. Like if you go into like, say, some of the bigger cities like Chicago or Philly or something, I'm sure their D areas are a lot worse than what we would consider a D area in Pittsburgh. So that's
That makes
kind of
sense.
how
I
I view
usually
it,
kind of
more of on a national scale.
I usually kind of look at it like, okay, if I was going to walk around this neighborhood at night, would I want to have my gun on me or would I not want to have my gun on me? A C area, I don't feel like I really need my gun on me if I'm walking around in that neighborhood. Mount Oliver, I probably want to have my gun on me still, you know? So,
You think?
I mean,
I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. Maybe
there's some streets
Knoxville.
that are nicer than others, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely like just walking down the main street of Mount Oliver, I would probably want to be packing in that scenario.
Yeah,
But,
the main drag there is still a little iffy.
it's still a little iffy for sure.
I
So
drive through there a lot.
Yeah, so a lot of the people that are tuning in real quickly, Yasik, Jim, the grumpy contractor, they're all interested in Pittsburgh, but they were on the call that Elena's property or what she was looking at came up. So if you guys are trying to figure out what Ian and Jeremy are talking about, they are talking about the property that Elena put in the chat that we were on yesterday. So another thing too, Elena is maybe, I don't know, I wouldn't say a new investor, but she's going to be new to Pittsburgh. So I think a lot of people were also trying to tell her that, this probably wouldn't be the best idea for your first one, out of state, something with that much work and rehab. And even Jim, the contractor, was kind of like, well, maybe I would do it, but he has a contracting background. I mean, of course, in a different area, a different market, but for him, he saw a lot of work involved also.
Yeah, I do always recommend if it's a new project, like or new investor, and this is your first project. I mean, I'd be looking for more of a, let's get on base, like let's hit a single, something that maybe needs carpet and paint and maybe a refresh in the kitchen or something, instead of a complete rehab, because there's so much that can go wrong in those big rehab projects, and it's very, very risky. So like the last thing you want to do is buy a rehab project that then ruins you and then you don't invest anymore in the future.
So we got Dylan, who is in Illinois or a Chicago type area. He said, I wouldn't even do that one if it was in my town because of that level of work. But to Joe,
not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
Just, something like that could really drain you mentally.
And you may not want to do any more investing after
Yeah,
that.
it could knock you out completely,
yeah.
which you got to look at the flip side. If it knocks you out completely, the opportunity cost of what you would have ended up accomplishing, it's a lot of times it's just better hitting a single or a double off the bat and then kind of work into stuff like that. If ever, I haven't even done anything that big and I haven't needed to. So it's like looking at it that way as well.
I've done quite a few projects that big, and every single time I'm like, why did I do
You're
this?
good. Never again.
Joel, who's my Wednesday regular guest now, he's a lending for entrepreneurs. So I'll put his YouTube channel in the chat. But he's also saying, I think this is a great point, kind of what we're touching on a little bit. But if rates don't go down and just stay flat. That helps all the skilled investors and keeps the riffraff out. Is that kind of your guys' sentiment also?
I did see a lot of newbies get in when rates were really low that have since gotten out once they realize what actually goes into owning rentals. So it was like a FOMO type of thing. I think when rates got real low, everybody was jumping in, but now it's just the people that are fit for owning rentals that are kind of staying in, because we're just seeing a lot of people kind of tap out once they realize what goes into it. So I think there's some truth to that, I would say, especially with the out-of-state investing.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak off my personal portfolio, and obviously now that all the rate locks are expiring from COVID and stuff, my portfolio starts cash flowing less and less, and when you're not making money or as much money, it definitely makes you think like, is all this stress and everything worth it? Am I should I keep buying more? And like I'm personally being very, very picky on what I'm buying, because it's like, if I'm gonna, for instance, I didn't cash flow all that well this year, so I had to come out of pocket like 50 grand to pay my school taxes, right? It's just those things make you go, well, maybe I should pump the brakes and start, focusing on paying off my units so they cash flow better. And those are things that, you got to think about. But if you're just getting started, I mean, it's always better just to buy, even if you end up maybe making a little bit of a mistake, and you're going to hold on to that mistake for a while. I always say time heals all in real estate. If you buy something, and let's just use the Mount Oliver one, for example. Let's say you do get the deal done, you're into it for 175, and maybe you're breaking even or getting a small cash flow there when you refinance it. To Jeremy's point, it's probably going to be a really nice property in 10 to 20 years. So if you end up having it paid off in 20 years from now and you're making, $2-3 grand a month net cash flow, you're happy that you did it, right? But you might not be happy through the whole process of owning that property, but you'll be happy at the end once that property is putting money in your pocket every single month.
Okay, we'll let Ian go first, and then Jeremy can give his touch. But which neighborhoods are showing the biggest transformation or untapped potential right
I mean, in Pittsburgh, there's a lot of little neighborhoods that are showing some big changes. I personally, I've always been a fan of the Hill District. I think that it's probably a similar market as Mount Oliver right now, where again, there's some streets you might not want to be hanging out on once it gets dark. But I think that there's very few areas around the Hill District that are left to be renovated and made nice. So I think that probably quicker than Mount Oliver, I think the Hill District will start to really, really bump up. So if I was starting all over, I'd look at the Hill District. I like, Troy Hill. I think there's still some good pockets in Troy Hill. If you can find something in the north side that makes sense, there's still a lot of properties that need renovated in the north side, and the high end of the north side is really nice. So there could be some good spreads for you there. But really, it's just get in and find a market that you like, and then become the expert in that little sub market, and start finding deals and pull the trigger instead of sitting on the sideline.
Jeremy, your thoughts on that, or your areas?
The neighborhoods we've seen the most transformation in is all the East End neighborhoods by like the universities and hospitals over there. So mainly closer you are to like Oakland, Squirrel Hill, Shady Side, East Liberty, that whole area is kind of boomed. So as far as like true transformations from start to finish, I would say those are where it kind of has happened over the last decade. We haven't really seen it pop yet in anything outside of the East End. A little bit on the north side, like Ian was saying, some of the higher end areas like the Mexican War Streets, Manchester, Deutschtown, but nothing to the extent of the East End. So now I think that where you want to be positioned going forward is anything that's a spillover neighborhood of the East End. So some of the ones like Ian said, Troy Hill, Millvale, Etna, right across the river from the East End, just because it's only 5 more minutes away. And those areas have already kind of fully gentrified. Not many houses left to renovate in a lot of these neighborhoods in the East End. So now it's like people are probably going to move over to the next neighborhoods over. Or on the other side of the highway, there's areas like Homestead, Munhall. That's kind of started to pop a little bit. You're seeing some renovations, some ARVs going up. Greenfield, Hazelwood's kind of similar to the Hill District in the fact that it's very well located, but just hasn't really hit there yet. But just proximity, I think, is what you want to look at for a lot of these things versus like Mount Oliver. You're a little farther away from the East End just because you got to go across a river, go down a highway a little bit as well. So it's not quite as easy to kind of benefit from that spillover effect from the East End neighborhood. So I think we're kind of in the middle where East End's almost fully tapped out, except for like maybe the Hill District. Uptown's right there as well. The Uptown's not really a huge neighborhood, but those would be the two I would say are very well located from that. But they're a little rougher than the ones that are kind of next neighborhoods over. So I think it's one of those things that they have more of a better location, but more of an uphill battle just because they're a little rougher to start with versus the ones that decent neighborhoods in close proximity, but they're just decent. Like they're not high crime or anything like say Hill District and Uptown. So I think that those are the two where eventually over the next decade or two, more so than like say the West End, which seems to kind of be forgotten about, or parts of the North and South versus the East End.
All right, so don't let Ian's hat fool you. He is actually, one of the co-owners of Deacon Hoover, so he is up there in status. But Mikey Buzztoon, who is in Hawaii, who also invests out of state in Pittsburgh, he's asking, as co-owners, what does Ian and Alex agree or disagree on for investing strategy?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a good question. So Alex and I have invested on a lot of things together over the years. I would say that Alex became a lot more conservative quicker than I did, and he pumped the brakes a lot sooner. So I think that he's been very, very selective on what he's buying, and I also think that he made the flip to doing more flips than rentals. But he's really focused on buying quality units now. Like that's his main focus. Is like he wants to buy just really pristine units in really nice areas. Even if they don't really cash flow all that much, because I think a lot of his portfolio has gotten to the point where it's mostly paid off or cash flowing now, at least the early on stuff that he bought. So he's able to use that cash flow to offset some of his losses he might take on a nicer unit. When, me personally, I've taken a lot more risks. I don't think Alex has ever done a rather large down to the studs renovation. Like I did a 15 unit building in Monongahela. I did a 12 unit building in New Eagle down to the studs. He basically told me I was crazy, and I was kind of crazy, but it did end up working out in the long run. And we got some really nice appraisal numbers on those and took some cash out that got us through some difficult times like COVID. But I would say because of my age, I'm taking more chances than Alex does. But he's been definitely buying really good quality units, and that's what he's been focused on for his long-term holdings.
And maybe you can quickly retouch on the story about him. What did he say? He had a home run deal, or he'll never say that again, or what was that again?
Yeah, one of my favorite Alex ones. I was on his team at the time, on his sales team at Keller Williams, and he was giddy the one day, which you don't see Alex giddy too often, right? Like, yeah, I'm talking like a kid in a candy store giddy. He was so happy.
He's got that grin on his face.
That shit-eating grin where he's I don't know, maybe he got late. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, he was really happy, and I was swung in his office just to touch base, like I did almost on a daily, almost a daily routine. And I was like, "What's up with you?" And he's like, "Oh, I hit a home run. That's this project I just bought. I mean, it's a beautiful house. I should make, $150,000 on this deal." I mean, he was so giddy about it, and throughout the renovation, he's giddy about it. Then he puts it on the market, and it sits, and it's crickets, and he discounts it, and he discounts it. Finally, he ends up just renting it to a long-term renter, and he eventually did sell it like 3 years later. Again, time heals all in real estate. I think he ended up maybe breaking even. You'd have to ask him on that one, but I've never seen him so excited and then so discouraged, like 8 months, 9 months down the road. And it just shows you that it could happen to everybody, right? I mean, that's a guy with 30 plus years of experience that, he's still, he still misses from time to time, and you're going to learn your lessons. And I think the one lesson he would tell you from that, and I hope I'm right on this, is that project was kind of far away from him, and it wasn't really in an area that he knew all that well. So even though we have the MLS so we can run comps and statistics, sometimes you just miss, and it's he missed on that one. And I think he would do a similar deal to that. He just would want it to be closer to home in a neighborhood he understands a little bit better.
And then we can add, so, Jeremy, I know you're a successful investor, realtor also, but how has it been being able to work under kind of Alex and Ian, and what have you learned from them and the agent side and investing?
It's been super helpful. I think just seeing both of their paths and like eventually where they're at this point, and being able to learn from the school of hard knocks things that they learned from, so to speak, that things you can't really read in books or listen to on podcasts, like local boots on the ground experience based things. So just some of the stuff that like bouncing ideas off them has always been super helpful. That's allowed me to avoid any major mistakes. So I haven't really done any deals or anything where I've lost money. So being able to limit the downside just from being able to bounce ideas off of those guys and just follow suit and kind of what the path that they've carved for themselves has definitely been helpful for sure.
You mentioned you can't learn from books, but just throwing this out there, Ian does have a book out. It's on Amazon, so there's a link for that. I know a couple people that were in the chat last time Ian was on did pick up the book, so maybe they can put a review out there and comment on Ian's book that's on Amazon. But I see Brandon tuning in. I'm not sure if this is the Brandon in our school community, but if not, thanks for stopping by. It looks like he came over from Instagram. But he does say, what AI tools are the three of you actively using to find deals, manage your day-to-day better, or use for market analysis?
You want me to take the stab at this first? I personally love AI. It's been, don't get me wrong, I do feel, I see the negative impact of AI, and I think that it's going to be a potential risk for humanity in the long term. But if we don't use the tools that are at our fingertips, then we're really missing out. And so a couple of tools that I'm really focused on. Number one is I really think that leasing is a thing that costs landlords a lot of money, and I think that having days on market is a big one. So I've just recently partnered with a software company that allows self showings for leasing, which I'm really excited about. That I'm going to be testing that out on a couple of vacancies I have coming up, and then obviously Chat GPT, Grok, any of those, you can create your own tools for anything. And it's a lot of times I'd use it as just kind of hey, so what's the cons to what I'm thinking right now, or like just trying to get like a different view, because sometimes when I get an idea in my head, it's like the greatest idea ever, and a person could sit there and tell me, yeah, you maybe should do some more research or whatever, but I just don't listen. And AI kind of will break it down for you and give you like, this is your worst case scenario outcome. So I use it for a lot of that, and then I think there's a ton of great marketing tools that AI has out there, and those are things that we're digging into on a regular basis. But another really cool one that I'm looking at, because I'm actually going to be probably self-managing some of or all of my portfolio in the near future, because I'm rolling out a couple things and I need to test some things out. One of the things that I'm really focused on is the software. I found that basically when a tenant reaches out to submit a maintenance request, it's going to actually try and solve the problem with the tenant before they actually can submit the maintenance request. So I'm sure you guys have probably seen, like, if you have a software tool that you're having issues with, and they have the chat bot, they don't have a customer service anymore. You have to do the chat bot, and then you can eventually schedule with somebody if the chat bot can't fix it. Think of that only with property. So if the tenant says, hey, my light's not working in my room, it's going to ask, well, is your light flickering? Yes or no? And then, okay, did you try changing the light bulb? Is the switch loose? It's going to try and diagnose the problem before we send a technician out. And I think that's going to save a lot of money in my portfolio moving forward. So those are some of the things that I'm looking at right now, is being more proactive by using automation and AI instead of being reactive, and that costing me a lot of money. And those are things that you learn over time. Is the little things cost you a lot. If you got to send somebody out, it's going to cost you 150, $200 just for a trip fee. You do 25 of those a year. If you have a large portfolio, it adds up big time.
Is there any AI you prefer? So Dylan says Gemini and GPT are pretty great. Is there a certain one that you like to use?
So I do use three. So I use on a regular basis. I use ChatGPT. I would say more for business. I think it's the best overall when it comes to what it can do, and you can set up custom GPTs and be super flexible with that. Gemini is built into my phone because I'm not an Apple user, so I use Gemini quite a bit. And the cool things that Gemini can do now. So like if I'm doing a renovation project and let's just say I have a wall open and I'm looking at something and I don't really understand what I'm looking at, I can use Gemini to look at it and tell me what's wrong with that wall in that scenario, right? So like if you have a crack in the foundation, hey, is this something I should get a structural engineer to look at? And Gemini will tell you. That's really, really useful. And then my day-to-day, if I'm just asking random questions and everything, I like to use Grok. I have an X subscription. It comes for free. And I just feel like Grok understands me maybe a little bit better, but maybe I'm just biased because I'm an Elon Musk fan, but that's where I'm at.
Jeremy, how are you using it? And also, I guess Brandon does say tag those, so this must be one of your acquaintances. So,
what did he say?
Oh, was I muted?
No, I was.
Oh,
he
okay.
said he said tag what?
No, Brandon says tag knows who I am, so this must be one of your friends,
yeah,
Brandon.
Yeah.
But this was his question. So, what AI are you using, or how are you using it in your day-to-day, maybe investing?
I don't use it a ton yet. I mean, I use ChatGPT, but it's more just for like maybe like calculations or, like Ian said, bounce ideas off of roughly, just to get like an opinion, I guess you could say. But that's kind of the extent that I use it for. Just ChatGPT. I haven't really done too much else with AI stuff outside of that. I do think it'll be interesting to see, like Ian was talking about on the leasing and property management side of things. I think there's a lot of opportunity there to make things more efficient and allow you to self-manage by having things more efficient. So it'll be interesting. I have to think that I'll probably start using some of those things as they roll out as well, because it's definitely intriguing on the opportunities there for sure. But yeah, as of now, not too much.
Ian, were you saying it's a software you're creating yourself, or you found one for like you said, the maintenance requests? Because a lot of people in our community know about Hemlane, and that's kind of how you put in the request and it goes through the prompts. Or you're creating your own?
Yeah, so I do have a couple of my own softwares that I'm working on rolling out with AI. But the two that I spoke of, one is they're literally just an automotive showing company, and they have lock boxes that you purchase where the code changes every so often, and they have to have facial recognition and live scanning of your ID just to get access to the property, which really is going to cut down on the potential risk there, because nobody's going to want to go, create fraud or damage in a property if we have their face and their ID and everything, right? And then the other one is actually built into a property management software that I'm looking at. And to combat Jeremy's point, I don't want to self-manage. I'm doing it because I have an idea in my head that I'm going. So basically, in the near future, we're going to be expanding to West Virginia and Erie. And then in 2027, we'll be expanding to like Steubenville, Ohio, maybe Morgantown, West Virginia, and maybe another market in Pennsylvania. And as we grow, And we're doing this because we want to get access to more affordable inventory for like Jeremy's clients and some of our other agents' clients. But as we scale, we're also going to need to offer services in those areas to those investors, because I don't trust that those property management companies in Weirton, West Virginia, or Erie, Pennsylvania are going to be good quality property management companies. So I figure, you know what, it might be time to make sure we have those services available when we expand. So I'm going to test my own portfolio just to kind of hone in on things and make sure that everything works good before we roll it out to public, and then we're kind of going to go from there.
Nice. I like that. And just for me, I mean, since you guys kind of talked about it more on the investor, maybe agent or investing side, I use it more just really to keep prompts. So like you're saying, I use Chat GPT for prompts for all my, videos live. So it's easy. I don't have to keep reinventing the wheel every time. So I kind of have like a Pittsburgh chat started so that I can just update this live stream. These guests will be on and kind of for the description, captions, hashtags, and even my daily reels is I have like a saved social media prompt and I say, hey, use this transcript for my saved prompt so that it spits out all. And I said, make it work with Instagram, YouTube, the X algorithm, and it'll give me 3 different options, and I use that when I paste the videos in. So it saves me a lot of time. And then even the AI stuff, if I get insurance policies or quotes, I'll upload it and say compare these 2 policies. Give me the red flags on each one, or what should I look for? And even like a recent inspection report I got, I uploaded. It said, give me the breakdown of this. What do you think the rehab cost might be? Blah blah blah, and it kind of spits out like, oh, this. And I put in the Pittsburgh market, what kind of comps would I see for cost of repair? So it gives you an idea maybe where you might be. Definitely, it seems a little high, but it kind of gives you some ballpark area on what you might be looking at.
Another tool that I'm just scratching the surface on that I think everybody here would probably really like and maybe hasn't heard of would be Notebook LM. Have you guys heard of that one at all? Yeah, so you would think it's a notebook, but it's really not a notebook. Basically, it's owned by Google, and so if you have a Gemini subscription or whatever, you'll have all the pro features and everything. But you go into it, and you basically can upload all your sources, is what they're called. So like you can put YouTube videos in there, books like ebooks in there, any kind of sources that you have. And it's basically a research tool. So you could say, hey, watch these 35 YouTube videos and summarize those on what the big takeaways are. And so like it could save you a lot of time and energy on researching things. And I'm just scratching the surface. I mean, I'm even using it to, one of my little side hustles I do is I do a little football gambling and stuff. I'm using it to kind of come up with my own algorithm for what I'm going to gamble on for the weekends, like all kinds of just random stuff with it. And it's really cool. And it's, I love it because I love watching YouTube videos. I just don't have time for it. And I can put the YouTube video links in there and it'll watch those for me and tell me what I need to do. And then there's also you can press a button and listen to like a 10-minute podcast that it'll make. It's basically 2 AIs talking back and forth about the content that you wanted it to watch. So there's a lot of cool little features in it. And that's a fun one if you haven't heard of it to check out.
All right, cool. I guess your names weren't on the screen at the time, but Flavio is saying, so Ian, any way do you have to wear a vest on the rough areas?
Any way?
So that's his joke. He's always saying. So he's in he's in Grandview, Washington, and he always wants to tell us out-of-state investors or people that are investing in like Detroit and Pittsburgh that we need a bulletproof vest. But the funny story is, Flavio sent me a video the other day, and his former coworker, I guess the police were searching for this guy in Grandview, Washington. So he had all the police cars in his area and everything. So he told Flavio, man, your area is the hood. You're never going to live this down. But so, a lot of people, and someone who was on the call the other day was talking about, why do people have such a bad, thoughts on Detroit, right? So why do people have this kind of maybe thought on Pittsburgh?
Well, first off, I've never worn a bulletproof vest. I'm not saying it's not a good idea if you're going to be in a really, really bad area for any period of time, especially at night. Also, I mean, there's been multiple times in my career I've walked in just looking at vacant properties and ran into squatters and been in some really awkward situations. So I'm not saying it's not a good idea. I don't own one and never thought of buying one. Maybe someday I will. Who knows? Um, so I would say that, but I mean, I would say every major metropolitan city has really bad areas to go along with their good areas, and Pittsburgh has definitely got a couple areas that, like, I honestly would never even step foot in them. I might have been there once, and just like, you know what, it's not worth it. And if one of my clients are interested in that area, I'm just gonna say I'm not the right agent for that area. Feel free to go find somebody else. To me, it's just not worth it. Like if it's that bad of an area, if every other house is boarded up, if you got to wear a bulletproof vest, I mean,
what areas won't you go in?
Braddock's pretty bad. Been in Braddock a few times, and I have no want to ever go back. Pitcairn was pretty rough for a while. I haven't been there in a long time. Probably the sketchiest neighborhood I've ever been to in Pittsburgh was like East Pittsburgh. Now I know they have some decent streets, but the one street I was on, I witnessed a drug deal going on the second I pulled up to the street. It's just not something that I ever care to go back, and it's not interested. I maybe I'm sure we're maybe running out of time, but another Alex story I could tell someday is when I almost shot him, and that's a funny story too. But yeah, I mean, some of these rough areas. It's very, very nerve-wracking going into a vacant property in a really bad area, especially if it's like not even on the market. It's like an off-market listing that you're just like a wholesaler said, go ahead, go take a look at it, and you just never know what you're going to run into.
So Jeremy, how do you educate clients who think waiting for rates to drop is a smart plan?
I mean, if they're going to say that, then I have no doubt in my mind if rates dip too far below like 6%, it's just going to start to become a little crazy again. So it's one of those things that if you wait, everybody else is a lot of people are going to do the same thing. And especially too, it's as rates get lower, a lot of people that are maybe more newbies or unsophisticated will jump back in as well. So then you're adding to the demand side of the equation also. So it's regardless. I mean, I think it's just, you need to have the viewpoint, wherever rates are, you just have to have criteria of what you would buy or not buy, take into account the rates. And if anything, I think right now is a opportune time to buy because rates are probably going to continue trending down slowly over the next year or two to the point where you can maybe take advantage of the buy time now and then refinance later if they do get down low enough to the point where it's justified. So it's the whole FOMO thing. If you jump in when everybody else does, it's kind of defeats the purpose.
Anything you want to add to that, Ian?
I mean, you and I talked about that on our last stream together. I really don't think rates are going to go down drastically. I think that people are spoiled over the last 20 years. They've gotten some really low interest rates, and really, I mean, if you look at the history of interest rates, 7% interest is actually a really good rate. So if you can't find a deal that makes sense in a 6, 7, 8% interest rate, it's probably not a good deal, and you probably shouldn't buy it anyways. Because even if rates do dip back down, a lot of what we're buying is going to be on a commercial rate anyways, right? Unless you're doing like the house hacking thing like Jeremy did early on in his career. So you're only going to get, a 5-year period where that rate's going to be locked. And then if rates go up to 10, 12%, like I think it's going to in the next 5 to 7 years, then at that point, you're just going to be losing money and have to sell that property or do something at that point. So I personally think if you can't find a good deal that makes sense in our current interest rates, then it's probably not a good deal.
10 to 12%, you think?
Yes, that's 100% where I think we're going to. If you look at the average over the last 100 years, it's 12.8% over the last 100 years, including the last 25 years of really low interest rates. So I think that we're absolutely going to get back to it, and we kind of have to get back to it at some point. It's just everything. History repeats itself. It's something that's going to happen. So right now we have a an administration that's really pressuring the Fed to drop rates because of our national debt. But if you're going to, try and battle inflation, I think rates are going to continue to go up over time. And I think that's where we're going to end up at, unless we have another COVID type situation that manufactures a really low interest rate. And to Jeremy's point, if you do buy now and then rates do dip down to 4% again, you could just refinance. It's you're not locked into that higher interest rate. So, but you have to buy properties now that make sense for now and moving forward. And then if we do get gifted another tremendously low interest rate, then refinance and lock it in for 5 years. I just don't recommend cashing out every time that happens, because all you're doing is just kicking that ball further down the road to when you're actually going to truly cash flow on those properties.
BuzzTune Mikey says, "What is Monaca? What is it? What area is that? How far?
Monaca.
How far away would you buy from the cracker plant? Does that proximity matter for tenants?"
I don't think people are really deterred from being close to it. Maybe if you're in like Shippingport, like right there, but the neighborhoods that are close to there, like Beaver, Monaca, downtown Monaca, the general vibe isn't like, oh, we don't want to live here because it's close to the cracker plant. But there aren't a ton of jobs at the cracker plant now. I think maybe like 200 or 300. So I think it's just like any other employer. If you're close to it, you're going to benefit from them having jobs there. But I don't think it's anything major as far as any other company. It just happens to be a massive physical structure versus like an office building. So I think that's the biggest thing. But I think really what they're anticipating from that is the spin-off businesses that want to be located close to it. I think we haven't really seen a ton of that yet, just because the economy kind of has, ever since it got completely finished, the economy's been kind of stagnant because rates went up and everything. So I think once we get out of this kind of flat, stagnant period is when you might see the spin-off effect from that would be kind of the main benefit outside of the actual cracker plant itself in terms of number of jobs.
You have any thoughts on that, Ian?
I mean, that's Jeremy's neck of the woods. So he's definitely the expert on Beaver County and Monaca. But I mean, to his point, yeah, I don't think it lowered any house values, even if you get really close to it, to my knowledge. And if anything, I'd be trying to find where's the next cracker plant going to be, because I'd want to do some investing there, because there was a pretty big bump for a period of time there, and you can maybe take advantage of that.
Values went up for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, people that do those 300 jobs that are left, they're pretty high paying jobs, and those people want to own really nice houses, right? So,
I
like
bet the next one is the data centers, because they just announced one for Beaver County, actually, in Shippingport by the cracker plant, a data center for powering AI, basically. And then they're also talking about where that new 576 went in between Midway and McDonald, that exit.
my neck of the woods.
Yeah, they're trying to put in a generator. I don't know if you heard about it, but like the generator station to power data centers by taking the natural gas under the ground in Washington County to power the data centers. So I bet we'll see something pop up on that exit there, the Fort Cherry, Midway, McDonald exit there at some point.
Yeah, the problem is there's like nothing right around there, so it's like literally not gonna. I don't think it's had much of an impact on. Yeah, it's all farmland, and those people don't want to sell their properties. They want to keep people out of their properties. So I think that that's probably not gonna have too big of an impact. But that's really crazy that they're thinking about putting one up in Shippingport, because now you're gonna have a power plant, a cracker plant, and a AI power grid there, all within like what, a 10-mile stretch.
Yes, I think the concerns with that is always going to be the runoff or pollution, and so that's, I think, more to Mikey BuzzTune's concern is as far as tenants, right? Like how close are they going to want to be, or proximity to these type of data centers or cracker plant or whatnot. But I do see some discussion about rates after Ian was touching on it. And as like they say, right, if no one can predict where rates are going to be. And I think it's like Dion likes to say, who's also here, who was the keynote speaker at Bigger Pockets. But what are you going to do in either situation, right? If rates do come down to 4, what is your plan? If rates go to 12, what is your plan, right? So have a plan either way, right? So have a plan for whatever situation and invest accordingly, right? I do see Brian tuning in. So Brian is a client of Jeremy's, and I think I'm not sure if he heard, but Ian was talking about one of the areas Troy Hill, and that's actually I think where Brian's duplex he's going to be closing on
Brian just
soon.
got a killer deal in Troy Hill. That was a great property.
Yeah. So Brian, hopefully you're still here. But yeah, I saw that deal also, and I was working on something else. I was like, hey, so we always try to communicate, right? So we're all not battling against each other and outbidding each other. So it's kind of
There's plenty of real estate to go around.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
Yeah. So, and of course, I don't want to be jumping into, and then it's like now we don't even know, and we're just outpricing each other, outbidding each other, right? So that's kind of why our community, we always kind of like to shoot each other what we're working on, just so we kind of know where we're at and what we're doing, so we're not. Oh, he closed yesterday, he said. Okay, awesome, Brian. So let's see.
Congratulations.
Yeah, he said thanks, Jeremy. Let's see what else we got here. So I did have a question. Ian, you said you kind of maybe building out the portfolio or your portfolio or for your clients like West Virginia, Ohio, possibly. Is that have anything to do with Pittsburgh slowing down, or is it just too competitive already in Pittsburgh?
He'll realize once he sees the cash flow of those areas, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think that for me and for the brokerage side of things, it's been on my mind for a while now, and there's some recent stuff that's come up that's made me say now is the time. But yeah, I mean, you could in all of the markets that we're expanding to, you can maybe not like all day long, but you can on a consistent basis find the 2% rule. And that's just something we haven't seen in Pittsburgh in probably close to 10 years at this point. So it's one of those things where I'm hoping by us expanding to those markets, we're going to give our clients access to a lot more affordable cash flowing inventory. And I'm not saying don't invest in Pittsburgh anymore. I'm saying that maybe we can build you a small portfolio that cash flows a little bit better in a different market so that you can afford to buy some more quality stuff in Pittsburgh and they can offset each other. I think that's a good strategy moving forward, but we're going to have boots on the ground in all those markets. So you'll be able to get, if you can't make it there, you'll be able to get video tours of the properties, and we'll have, obviously we're going to have some management opportunities there. We're going to have contracting partners, the whole 9 yards. So it's been about a year and a half of planning to do this, and we're ready. We're going to be pulling the trigger in 2026. So.
We also
I think
got
the main difference is it'll give people an option if they just want to focus on cash flow. Like those markets aren't going to appreciate like a major city would. Like I think like Pittsburgh being a major city, naturally when there's a run up in the economy, prices are going to go up in and around the city. That's just how it is. That's why you want to own in close proximity to a major city, because you're going to benefit from the appreciation when prices are going up, versus like these more cash flow markets that they're always going to be stable, but you're not going to have huge rent growth or appreciation growth. But some people, especially if they're first starting out, want to focus more on cash flow. Like Ian was saying earlier with Alex's portfolio, cash flow at the beginning allows you to buy stuff that's break even or even maybe slightly negative until it gets stabilized, to allow you to own those properties long term and benefit from the appreciation and rent growth. So it's a nice, we had that option, not that we still don't. Like that's why I like Beaver County or Washington County, because they're kind of similar, where the rent to price ratios are a little better than in and around the city. At least if you wanted to get in a decent neighborhood, that you're getting the same rent to price ratios as you are in the rough neighborhoods around the city. But if you just go outside the city a little bit, especially as you get into like some of the markets that Ian was mentioning expanding into, you're just really going to benefit from that cash flow, and they're stable markets that aren't really going to go backwards. So I think that's the benefit of that.
Yeah, I think all the markets we have earmarked are pretty much what Pittsburgh was before Pittsburgh blew up. which is a stable, like 3 to 5% appreciation type market. You're not going to lose your shirt unless something drastic happens. And hopefully you're going to be able to buy in a little bit better, quality type areas versus like right now, if you want that cash flow in Pittsburgh, you kind of have to go to those areas that we talked about that are a little rougher. And so maybe you can get a little bit quality of an area, cash flow better. It just gives you another option if you don't want to take it. Great. I mean, we're going there regardless if anybody else wants to or not. I think that I'm going to be building out portfolios in all those markets, hopefully too. And I hope everybody joins us along the way. But worst case scenario, it gives you more options.
Before I get to Craig, just remind everyone, what were those 3 markets you were mentioning earlier, Ian?
So in 2026, we'll be live. We're technically already live in Erie, Pennsylvania. I just haven't rolled it out yet. We're waiting for our boots on the ground to be up there. And then 2026, we're also going to Weirton and Wheeling, West Virginia. And then in 27, Steubenville's for sure, and then probably Morgantown, West Virginia too at that point in time. All that are approximately within a 2-hour drive of Pittsburgh. So it's not like it's too crazy far away or anything like that.
So there is Ian's YouTube channel, the Deacon Hoover YouTube channel in the chat, and also Jeremy's the Team Taggart Instagram. So go subscribe, follow there if you want to connect with them. Also, like I was going to say, so Craig Lessler says he is closing Friday on a side-by-side duplex in Baldwin, Whitehall, and I believe he works with Anthony in your guys' brokerage, Tony
Angotti, yeah.
Yes, I believe he works with Tony. He should work with Jeremy or Ian or something. Jump over here, But I always see.
Tony's a great agent too.
No, yeah,
He's been doing it a long time. He knows his stuff.
Tony knows his stuff. Yeah,
I always see.
He might actually be a good guest for you to have on, Marc.
Well, yeah, any time.
You think he would come on? He's kind of like he's was a few years older than me. We're big, so I think he's kind of like he operates under the radar now.
But yeah, Adam is under him, right?
Adam's under him, yeah. Tony's gone more in the larger multifamily sector, so he owns a lot of 10 to 50 unit type buildings, and he focuses in very specific areas mostly. So he's built a really nice portfolio, and he uses some creative financing strategies. So real good guy.
Before we get to Dion's question, Craig was the one. I don't know if you guys recall. I sent you guys that photo of the brick. That one property they had. I don't know if it was falling or
the brick was structural.
Yeah, so he's the one.
In Beachview.
Yeah. So that's Craig.
Shady Crest.
He's Craig is the one also that was it Homewood, like you said, almost like one street over or
right across the railroad tracks from
but it was like you could be like an A class and then all of a sudden so that's Craig. But Dion, let's see, he says, if you were starting today, what are the first 3 moves you make? So we'll go at Ian first.
The first 3 moves I would make: 1, build my team, make sure I have a good contractor, a good property manager, a great agent like Jeremy Taggart to help me build that team. 2, make sure I identify what market that I want to be in and what my ideal buy box looks like. And then 3, pull the trigger.
All right, Jeremy, what would be your first 3 moves?
Oh, honestly, the same first 3 moves when I started. Get a house hack to eliminate the housing expense. Focus on the personal finance side of things, so keeping expenses low so you can start out in a powerful position to be able to take risks and do moves that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to do if you have a bunch of monthly liabilities. So I would say those are the 2 big things. And then just like Ian said, surrounding yourself with people that have been there, know the market, know what they're doing. That's going to be important as well. It's just making sure you're getting good information from people to help you be successful in what you want to do. And then just self-education along the way. And also I think looking for upside opportunities in your career. I think that was a big thing for me at the beginning, was getting out of the steady 9 to 5 job income, especially when you're younger. and just starting is getting those high upside. Like for me, it was the agent income. There's no cap to that. So just taking advantage of that stuff at the beginning, I think, is more important versus whenever you're more established, is looking at the upside while being in a strong personal financial position to be able to take advantage of that.
You must listen to Dion, because I think you guys touched on a lot of things that he would say. So he was the keynote speaker at Bigger Pockets, and for those of you who don't know, Jeremy was also it was about 2 months ago on Bigger Pockets. You're on,
I think
fairly
that was
recent, right?
May.
Yeah. So Jeremy was also featured on Bigger Pockets. And Dion, if you don't know, Jeremy is what, a 7-time house hacker, 8-time?
7.
So he's done 7 house hacks. So Dion will love that. I think the one other thing maybe I would touch on, so like you did touch on personal finance. Dion would probably also mention, like credit score, get your credit score right, that type of stuff. But also make sure you are in the position, or you are ready, or make sure you're not going through any life changes, right? Are you going through changing your jobs? Are you going through a divorce? Are you, so those type of things to make sure your life situation is in the right place. But definitely a lot of great points here, community, personal finance, always, networking, like Ian's saying, get a good contractors agent. So find a community that you can, and like I said, I was maybe one of the, first people in our group in Pittsburgh, and I made tons and tons of mistakes. And I think that's what makes other people feel a little more comfortable jumping into where we're investing, because I've took some lumps for them already, and that's why I'm building these type of relationships with you folks, and I think it's working out well. And I mentioned before, Jeremy, Liam, and Alex will be in Vegas for the One Rental at a Time event in February. We're trying to get Ian out there. I'm not sure if he's committed to it yet.
As soon as I get my son's basketball schedule, I'll be booking. So hopefully in the next week or two, I'll know.
All right. Buzz Toon does say, in the shadows, I like Tony already. All right. Well, maybe we'll get him on. We had Adam on. I'm trying to get Omar on all the time, because I think people really like the contractor type discussion, right? Because that's the struggle a lot of people are having out there. Dion is laughing. I didn't mean to say it, but I did say 6-7 house hacks. So I don't know if you guys know all the kids.
6-7. Exactly. I got kids. I know it. Yeah.
That might be Jeremy's record in fantasy at the end of the year, but we'll see. We'll see how that plays
if I'm
out.
lucky.
Yeah.
Taking shots.
Well, I was gonna ask you earlier. You should use AI to find a new football team. That's what I was gonna say, but I didn't get to it.
I'm loyal. Ask Alex. I'm loyal. To a fault.
All right. Well, I don't know how much time you guys have. It was a good one. I like to keep it about 60 minutes or so. Any final words from you guys, Ian? Anything else where people can reach you? What you're working on right now?
I think you could find me on just about any social media platform. I don't get on Instagram too much anymore these days. Like I have it, I'm just not on there a whole lot. But if you can hit me up on X or shoot me an email, or I'm always. I like to make myself available as much as I can. So if you have a deal you want help analyzing, anything like that, I'll give you my feedback. And email is probably the quickest way to get a response from me on like a deal or whatever. But yeah, I love connecting with you guys, and I appreciate the invite.
And like I said, there is Ian's YouTube channel, so go subscribe if you haven't yet. And yeah, Chris Webb is here. He says, Chris Webb's a Patriots fan, so he likes to talk a little smack to me. But Jeremy, any final words from you? What are you working on? I know you might be stepping back a little bit, right? Liam's going to be taking on more responsibility, but how's that transition going for you?
Yeah, gonna have a kid here next month, so I'll have to figure out how I'm gonna work out with all that. But yeah, I'm sure I won't be doing what I'm doing now as far as hours spent working on the agent side. So that'll be a big shift. And then bought a primary residence, so we're getting some work done there. Been moving into that pretty soon here as well. So doing all the grown up things now, I guess that I had pushed off for so long.
So
enjoy your sleep now.
Yeah. Me and Liam are still like, I don't know if Jeremy's gonna come to Vegas, man. We'll see. He says now, but
I got the green light, so
All right. Well, thanks for doing this, you guys. Ian, yeah, hopefully you can make it out to Vegas. I think I mentioned to Jeremy, Alex, we are trying to plan maybe a Friday meetup before the event, like a coffee thing. So people that may be interested in looking at Pittsburgh or have some questions, they can meet a lot of the people that we are working with. I think it'll be beneficial for everyone. But everyone, thanks for tuning in today. And I will be back tomorrow at noon Eastern with Kyle Dorn and his girlfriend. It's caused his girlfriend Taylor. A lot of people don't know, but recently Kyle retired, and his this will trip you guys out. His living expense or his expenses is $570 a month. That's his expenses. But he's retired. He sold his trucking business, and it caused a stir. People were like, "No, this is BS. His living expense, all this type of stuff." But they do have questions for their girlfriend, so she's gonna join us on the live stream tomorrow. All right,
Jeez,
everyone.
must be nice.
Yeah. All right.
It's
Thanks
one
for
way to
tuning
do
in,
it, I
everyone.
guess.
Yeah, we'll see what your expenses are after, Jeremy.